Hello everyone, today is an ironing day. As usual, this week I was going around the supermarket the other day and I was listening to something on a podcast. They were talking about things that baby boomers had or did that were a tough lot. We didn't have social media, we didn't have mobile phones. I can remember my mother, when we used to go to my grandmother's house and she lived in London, well, West London, she would see me off in the morning and I'd say, I'm going out to play. And my friends and I would go out to play first thing in the morning and she'd say, come home before it's dark. And I'd have had my breakfast. I didn't have any money for a drink because we could go to the fountain in the park and drink fresh water from there. I don't think you see those much these days. So we go out and play on our bikes all day, in the park, on our own, no dodgy people around, or so we thought, and we wouldn't get back until just before dark, and we'd be starving, absolutely starving, because we hadn't eaten all day. They didn't know where we were, just didn't mind. But then she was, schizophrenic. And they never knew what you were up to. You had such complete freedom. Now, these days, I feel anxious thinking about my own grandson walking home from school. I do. He's nearly 10. He's 10 next month. And I do get anxious at the thought of him walking home on his own. And I have bought a new red light thing called this. Can you see it? Right. I have had this particular model. This is the third one. The two previous ones stopped working properly before a year was up. And so I just contacted Amazon and I told them I haven't even had this for a year and it's already gone on the blink, and bless them, which is why I like shopping on Amazon, they refunded me. Now in between times it has become about £30 more expensive. How they can justify that, I don't know, but I had to buy this same one because I couldn't find another red light therapy thing that would allow me to adapt the bit that goes around your neck. I need to adapt it to fit on my head. And I'm going to show you what you get in the box. Oh, it says, that's so funny, register your 1 year guarantee. Well, I am absolutely going to do that. And you get this. Scary. My darling boy thinks I'm extremely scary when I've got that on. And this. So what I do is I put elastic to fit around the back of my head and I sit there like this because this bit with the lights in will go to the bits where I'm really quite bald, hence the scarf, and the bit over the top will go on the top of my head where it's a bit thin. I'm going to set that up. This is the thing that usually goes wrong. It's the handset. You can put, oh my goodness, it's a different thing. Oh, maybe they have improved it. That'll be interesting. Maybe it won't break before the year is up. Oh, I never knew that. Oh, and they give you a full manual. I'm going to register this because they've got form, as we like to say. And I joined another channel this week, and her channel is called Life After 60 with Resting Witch Face. Now, I don't think she's got a resting witch face. She's very pretty, actually. She's an American lady. So I'll go onto her channel. She has apparently been far more wealthy than she is now. I think she's 63. She is really working hard to earn money to pay off her debts, which I admire, frankly. And she's got this channel. She's doing quite well, but she's working for Uber. And sometimes she has to do people's shopping and then deliver it to them and things like that. I admire somebody that really just gets down to it, doesn't whinge and moan about it, but just gets on with it. But you know what? Somebody commented to her the other day and they said, why don't you get a proper job? Well, for goodness sake, she's working her backside off doing this. She's got that job and she's got another job, and she's still managing to push out a video practically every day. You know, I don't think people think when they make these nasty comments, like they did to the Temple of One on her channel. The poor woman's only got 12 subscribers. She's lovely. And they've already started being mean and nasty. And I just think, you know, what is the matter with these people? I wonder if they wake up in the morning and think, oh, I feel really ratty. I'm going to take it out on somebody on YouTube. And then they do it. Go figure, as the people in the United States say. Go figure. I can't. The other thing that happened that was interesting this week is that my eldest daughter, Claire, she is now knocking on for 50. I know it feels, well, she's 49, I think, but honestly, I don't know where the time went. Anyway, she has, for an exceptionally long time, had problems with her hips. They subluxate, which means they slightly dislocate, and then she has to move her leg in a certain way to try and make it feel comfy, and then it sort of clicks back. Well, it turns out that she is the same as Katie. She has got Ehlers Danlos Syndrome because she was tested. Because of this hip, she can do a lot of the weird and wonderful things that Katie can. She can get her both arms right up her back so she can undo her own buttons, undo her own zips, have no problem in scratching any part of her back at all, just on her own, which frankly could be handy at times, because that means you don't need to stand next to a wall and act like Baloo the bear. She has just recently, perhaps because she's a little more mature, she has started having this hip subluxate more often. And it happens when she pushes that leg forward, and then it sort of dislocates. She's got a crutch now, and she's a radiographer. That must be really difficult when you're trying to handle a patient to be in the right position to take an x-ray off there, whatever. Ehlers Danlos Syndrome, well, it is genetic. And I think, given that my two daughters had a different father to each other, the one person that is relevant to all of this is me. And I must be a carrier, or I must have it myself, but not particularly have that many problems from it. Because one of the tests is that, now I can't do this now, but when I was young, I could sit with my legs, you know, you sit on a chair and you've got your legs crossed like that. Well, I could get my foot behind my leg in the front, and it did actually feel very comfortable. Well, apparently you're not meant to be able to do that, but I could. A lot of these things you can do, and you don't think anything of them when you can do them, don't you? You just think, oh, well, if I can do it, that must be normal, but apparently not. So she's just been diagnosed with that. I hope she doesn't get as bad as Katie, because there's no getting away from it. It means that you don't produce enough collagen and your joints become hypermobile. And frankly, that is just miserable. It has changed Katie's life beyond recognition. You don't want that for your children, do you? You'd like to take it away from them and have it yourself so that they can have a lovely life, not have any of those problems. But life isn't like that. The other day I got a message from Linda T, and I haven't seen her for ages. I haven't seen her channel. It just hasn't been popping up on my feed. Anyway, I emailed her after her video, and she was saying that at one point she thought of giving up, throwing in the towel, which would be a pity. You know, you put a lot of work into these channels, but her channel has been stalled a bit for whatever reason. And she literally was the first person that gave me a help on YouTube. I think you have to remember things like that. I only had 40 subscribers. I got those over weeks. And then Linda T at home. It used to be Linda T 70 because she was 70, but she's 71 now. So she changed her channel name to Linda T at home. Mentioned my channel. And you know what? When you're a small YouTuber and somebody as big as somebody who's got nearly 2,000 subscribers mentions you, they are like manna from heaven. Honestly, they really are. You can't imagine how thrilled and grateful you are to them, because that did make a difference to me. I got 40 subscribers from her mentioning me, and you don't forget that. Anyway, she thought of throwing in the towel, which would be sad. Her children talked her out of it, and I'm glad, because she's made a lot of videos. She's extremely funny to watch because she's very self-deprecating, and I do like her little asides to the camera, you know. She is very funny, and her channel had stalled, but I think it's growing again now. I'm really pleased about that. This week I watched a video. Now, I can't give you a link because I can't remember where I saw it, but it was about a young man who had gang tattoos all over his face. They were ugly. They weren't like a beautiful tattoo. They were nasty tattoos, you know, the sort. Anyway, I watched him as he went through his treatment to get them removed from his face, and also to get the really nasty ones tattooed over on his arms and the rest of his body. Now, gang tattoos all seem to have a meaning to them, and he did stand there and talk to the camera and say what each one meant. And it was grim, you know, what he'd done to earn these tattoos, the violence he'd inflicted upon everybody else. But one day he met what would be his future wife, and they fell in love. Then she became pregnant, and because of that, they wanted to get out of the gang. And it was a very, very scary time for them. They were threatened with violence against them, and they had to really hide. There was somebody else that left the gang as well. I mean, these gangs can be so vicious. Anyway, now he's got 3 children. He's got all these terrible tattoos on his face, and they look scary. He went to this clinic, and slowly but surely he got them removed by laser. And it took you through his journey, and as he's going there, he had them very close to his eye and on his eyebrow and all around his face and around his nose. Now, if you've ever had a little pimple around here or around your nose, you know how painful that area is. And he had tattoos all over the place. They would give him anaesthetic, but it didn't stop all of the pain. And you could see at times he was in agony. And they'd say, do you want us to stop? And he said, no, carry on, because he was that determined to get rid of these gang tattoos. People can turn their lives around after a period of being absolutely dreadful. They come to a point where they don't want to be dreadful and hateful anymore. And they turn a page on that part of their life, especially when they've got children themselves. It was gratifying to see that he, at long last, had turned his back on being racist and vicious to all sorts of people. Anybody that was different, anybody that wasn't like the people in their gang. I found it inspiring that despite all of that hatred that had gone before in his life, he managed to turn his life round and become a good father, and also, hopefully, a good person. And if you have been, thanks for watching. Lots of love. Bye-bye.